Struwig van Niekerk stares in surprise at the intruding voice, at the man standing before him, a stranger, elegant and confident, now casually joining the table for one. A beaming and well-practiced smile masks the reality of the sudden intrusion. Let me cut to the chase. We've been following the rubrique for many years now, Mr. van Niekerk. You are listening to A Morning in Ascona. The short story has been reworked for English listeners while attempting to preserve the mood and tone of the original Afrikaans Noir telling. Ascona, Switzerland, in June 2026. The sun casts dancing glimmers across the waters of Lake Maggiore. A light wind is gently stirring the water. It's early in the morning. Let me cut to the chase. We've been following die rubriek for many years now, Mr. van Niekerk. Struwig van Niekerk stares in surprise at the intruding voice, at the man standing before him. A stranger, elegant and confident, now casually joining the table for one. A beaming and well-practiced smile masks the reality of the sudden intrusion. It is a quiet morning. The small coffee shop sits in a quiet corner of Ascona, a village in the Mediterranean part of Switzerland, just near the Italian border. A pleasant smell of coffee and fresh pastries fills the air.
Struwig chose the quiet café precisely to enable an obscure disappearance into the constant flow of tourists that frequent the town.
His usual coffee and croissant are already waiting. One plate, a single cup of coffee. The man slowly pulls up a chair at the table, like an old friend merely joining a weekly catch-up. Or at least, that's what the other patrons in the restaurant might easily believe. Gray-green eyes remain fixed on Struwig, studying him. The man sits with his hands folded beneath his chin, elbows resting lightly on the table. All his movements are natural and measured, signaling a relaxed demeanor. Struwig is anything but relaxed. A cold sense of foreboding slowly settles in him, a tight knot in his stomach. The man is neatly dressed. A modern blue suit, a pressed white shirt, no tie. Elegant, yet imposing. The posture of someone who could easily hold his own, both in the boardroom and in the back alleys of Johannesburg. The stranger does not have the appearance of a Swiss citizen. It's something about the hair. It sits differently. Neatly trimmed. Perhaps a little too neat. A little too short. Hints of gray. The man's age, somewhere in the early 50s. Signals military, Struwig thinks. The accent is clearly American, though softened by years of European influence. A diplomat? Law enforcement? Struwig wonders uneasily, but quickly abandons those ideas. Diplomats usually carry themselves differently. They rely more on the authority of head office, as it were, not their own imposing presence. Police, they are usually not Americans. Not here. Not in Ascona. The stranger suddenly interrupts his train of thought. My employers, if I may call them that, are very interested in certain bits and pieces of information the rubrique managed to assemble over the years. The American removes a brown envelope from a leather briefcase. From it appear several copies of rubrique editions from over the years. Front page stories, clippings, photocopies, all calmly placed beside Struwig's coffee. The stranger pauses, waiting for the effect to take hold. Several old newspaper clippings are fanned out over the table. Stories about U.S. interests and diplomats. Notes on intelligence debacles in South Africa from years past. Let's just say the United States government was not exactly pleased with this. Leaks were suspected. Nothing officially confirmed, of course. The man looks intently at Struwig. How could it? He continues, his words hinting at a deeper mystery. As the words settle, the cafe's young waiter approaches the table. He seems slightly surprised to see company at the solitary man from Pretoria. Anything for the gentleman? The waiter asks in hesitant English. He gives the American a guarded smile. Clearly, he prefers his local dialect, his mother tongue. But in a tourist town and with certain guests, one has to tread lightly. Struwig's guest simply turns. Apparently, he was already aware of the waiter long before. Just espresso, please. He's clearly in no rush. I hope you don't mind, Mr. Van Niekerk. I too need my morning coffee to get up to speed, as they say. Who exactly are you? Who are you working for? Struwig finally asks. His eyes now locked on the stranger's pensive expression. A faint scar above the man's right eye. Fine wrinkles, the marks of sun exposure over many years. I have to get to work soon, Struwig says, searching for any possible exit from the table. The uncalled-for conversation. The stranger leans back in the chair. He is studying Struwig's tone of voice, his face. From my watch, Mr. Van Niekerk, I believe we still have some time. Don't you usually clock in at 8:45 at Helios Risk? Struwig feels a sudden chill. I'm being watched, he thinks. Clearly thrown off balance exactly as the stranger intended. Who are you? The helpless words slip out. Taking a desperate sip of coffee, his hand trembling slightly. The stranger is fully aware of the discomfort, a faint smile forming at the corners of his mouth. Struwig now gripping the coffee cup with both hands. He takes another sip and asks, quietly, "What do you want from me? Why are you asking me these questions? Trust me." The rubrique. It was a dead end. One I was only too happy to leave behind. That place is insane. In any case, I was just working with sales numbers and I signed an ND. Exactly. The stranger interrupts abruptly. He produces a photograph of Struwig at an old office function. He places it on the table with the other documents. You were a low-level ad man at the rubrique, as you yourself once said. And all of a sudden you're riding the coattails of the likes of Amanda A's, queen of the rubrique, and her contacts. That was after the incident, of course. Now landing a cozy position at Helios Risk, in Switzerland, of all places, nonetheless. Not the man's first cross-examination, Struwig realizes. Clearly, the American has a masterful hand at extracting information. Tell me, Mr. Van Niekerk, what we would really like to know is this. What is, the Dark Site program? And also, what exactly was Amanda A's role in it? I really cannot tell you, Struwig says, deeply unsettled. They'll make minced meat of me, legally, or worse. Struwig finally lowers his head, realizing he has already said too much. A familiar feeling of helplessness settles over him again. The claws of the rubrique, reaching back for him. The man is still studying him, intently. Ah, the stranger simply says, nodding his head. A smile now fully formed. He simply returns the photographs, photocopies, everything, back into the leather briefcase. You see, Mr. Van Niekerk, that tells me all I need to know. Shall we leave it here? We'll be in touch. The stranger hesitates for a moment, looking down at Struwig, whose hands are buried in his hair. And, Mr. Van Niekerk, if you ever need a friend, for any reason, here's my number. The man slowly places a plain and unassuming business card on the table. Struwig stares at it in surprise. It simply does not match the man's stature. A single name, printed in an unassuming typeset,
Michael Selborne.
and just a mobile number in bold. No employer, no office line, no address. The waiter finally returns with the espresso. But Michael Selborne has quietly vanished into the hustle of the morning. End of A Morning in Ascona. Postscript. This was a reading from the world of D. Rubric, a story written by T.K. Rogue